Look at this cover. Summer in Italy sounds absolutely perfect. Have you ever been so viscerally pissed off at a character? Because I have never heard of any of these words in my life. I can't DNF to save my life. We don't have any feelings for each other. What are you talking about? Are you serious right now? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chia. Since it's currently August and it's like the last full month of summer before we start going to September and it's gonna be fall time, I decided to do a summer reading vlog. I don't necessarily read a lot of like summer books throughout the year because I am a very mood reader / seasonal reader, and I just think like books that are set in like vacation spots or summer atmosphere are best read obviously during spring and summertime. And so I decided to do a full-on reading vlog for it. I am very excited for fall, and I'm trying not to do any fall content until September, so this is me trying to hold on to summer a little bit and going to probably celebrate the ending of summer with this summer reading vlog. So this is going to be the TBR. The first book I want to pick up in this vlog is The Hotel Nantucket by Elin Hildebrand. I hear so many amazing things about Elin Hildebrand's writing and her summer romance books, so I wanted to pick this up. I know that she sets a lot of her books in Nantucket because she is living in Nantucket. Look at this cover. Nothing screams summer more than like this person sitting on the beach just watching the water, you know? So I wanted to pick this up and I can't wait to read this, and I don't know what Nantucket is like in the summertime. I have never been to the East Coast. No, that's a lie. I have been to the East Coast, but I've never been to like Nantucket area, so I'm excited to read that. And I know Elin Hildebrand is like a beloved summer romance writer. Next one is Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. This one is going to be my first ever Hazelwood book. The only work I've ever read from her was her Christmas novella back in December. I honestly don't remember it at this point. It's not Winter Without You. I don't know, I'll pop it up on the screen so you can see it, but I absolutely enjoyed her writing in that book, and so I heard about this book coming out, and I heard it's like sort of like a lighter book compared to her other ones because her other ones are just a lot more smutty. They usually feature a woman who is in STEM, which I absolutely want to read more about because I do like reading about intelligent women who are like in their top of their game in their careers. And so this is also another female character who is in STEM, and she goes off to Italy because her brother is having a destination wedding. So I thought this would be the perfect read for it. So we shall see if I like this book or not, because I wanted to pick this up to see if I like her writing a lot more in her full books before I pick up her other works. So I'm excited to read this one. Summer in Italy sounds absolutely perfect, so I wanted to read it. And the next one is This Summer Will Be Different by Carley. She just came out with another one called One Golden Summer. I think that's the latest one, and this one is set in Prince Edward Island, and I guess it's like a brother of her best friend or something, and they run into each other and have like sort of like a one night stand when she goes early to Prince Edward Island because her best friend is getting married, and she ends up having a one night stand with the brother, but she doesn't know it's the brother. And I haven't read anything by Carley, but I heard amazing things about her summer romances also, so I thought this would be a great way to celebrate the end of summer. I want to actually get started with Elin Hildebrand's book. Hotel Nantucket has been around for like 100 years. It's been owned by multiple owners, and also there's sort of like a little paranormal thing in here as well because there's a perspective from a ghost in here too. But I am going to get started with this one, and I will come back with an update. everyone, happy Saturday friends. I am back with an update for the Hotel Nantucket. I did start reading it yesterday, but I started like dragging a little bit and it's taking a little bit for me to get through, so I decided to pick up the audiobook. And I am liking the audiobook a lot more when I'm like going through it. So right now maybe I'm on chapter 6. That's about 63 pages in. It's like not like full pages of chapters, it's like ends halfway from the chapter, which I actually really like because it wastes less pages that way, and I'm liking it so far a lot better now since I picked up the audiobook. This one is more of like one of those books where it's like multi-characters that you follow and it's third person. So if you don't like third person books, well, like this book might not be for you. It follows the main character in this book. The first one that we meet is Lisbeth. Lisbeth just literally came off from like a breakup, a terrible breakup, because it's someone that she was with for like 15 years and they kind of like co-owned a restaurant together, or she worked at his restaurant and he's a chef. She unfortunately caught him like sort of sending these like naughty text messages to this other girl that they work with, and so she ends up breaking up with him and quits her job over at the restaurant they're working at, and she has been working with him for years, and so she goes off and finds out that the Hotel Nantucket is reopening. So she's sort of like one of those marketing manager, hotel managers, and so she knows how to bring like people to places. So she ends up getting hired by the owner of the Hotel Nantucket. He's sort of like a multi-millionaire who just randomly decides to buy this hotel. So she ends up like interviewing with him, and she ends up connecting with him from like a past coworker or something, or a past friend, and he ends up liking her, and so she ends up taking over. No, why you're getting dark. Sorry about that. She ends up taking up the hotel manager position in it, and she is getting paid really well for it. And so the whole entire goal that the owner wants is to get 5 keys from this hotel influencer on Instagram. No one knows what she looks like, no one has ever seen who she is, and so she goes to all these different hotels all over the world and she gives them like a rating between 1 to 5 keys, and she has never given a 5 key rating, and she's very, very particular about rating. She makes people and the employees jump through hoops, and so they are waiting for her to hopefully come and get to their hotel so that they can get the 5 stars and be the only one who ever gets the 5 keys. And so that's what the owner wants, and Lisbeth decides to take that challenge up, so she takes over everything about hiring. He has never been to Nantucket before. He's one of those non-interacting kind of like hotel owners where they've never been to the area that they've bought, but he's supposed to come visit at the end of summer. And there's all these like multi different characters that we've met already, especially when she's going through like the interview process. There's like a rich kid who's trying to clean up a background he has. There's a older housekeeping person who's worked on a cruise ship, and she comes with secret as well. And I also see like different people who come from different backgrounds who have different like interactions with the people who are guests in the hotel also, and these guests also come with their own backgrounds as well, which I'm really liking. It reminds me a lot of like, if you are like a millennial, you've watched Saved by the Bell, and it reminds me of Saved by the Bell season where they go off for the summer to work at this beach club. It also reminds me of High School Musical 2 where they also go off and work for this beach club, and like different episodes like that where they have like little hiatuses where they go off to vacation. So I'm really liking it so far, and I thought it was a good choice to pick up the audiobook because it's going better so far, because I thought I was just dragging a little bit for me while I was physically reading with my eyeballs. So I will come back once I make further progress into this book.
Egg and opens her mystery book. Doug the dog stops just inside the threshold of the room and raises his bucket head. He starts to whine.
Currently Monday, and apologies for the lighting. I am filming at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, but I did go ahead and finish Elin Hildebrand's Hotel Nantucket. Today was just a day, guys. It was a typical Monday at work, and I just didn't find the time to be able to update with this book, but I did finish it. I ended up finishing it through the audiobook because once I got the audiobook going through today, I ended up listening to it and also finishing through it, and I ended up giving this a 4 stars. I thought it was fun. This book is perfect for nosy people because there's a bunch of like drama. There's a lot of like different characters that you meet in this book. Everyone who comes from different backgrounds, have different pasts, have different experiences with slight traumas that they're dealing with from their past. Apologies if you could see like the shadow or something like that. I have like a little light set up right here that is like facing me. I don't want to turn on my overhead lamp because it is yellow and I don't like the look of it. So I hope you guys can deal with it for a little bit while I do this quick update, because I did end up really enjoying this book. I thought it was the perfect summer read, and it's like one of those perfect mindless books that you could just put on an audiobook, or you can listen to on the beach and also read on the beach, because it's one of those mindless things that like you could just read through and you get interested in the different characters because there's so much going on with the characters. It follows more of the characters than anything, and also I got surprisingly connected to the ghost who was in this book. The ghost of the book is named Grace, and Grace is literally goes around the hotel haunting it and has been the ghost of this hotel for the past 100 or so years. She passed away in the 1920s. She was the chambermaid for the hotel, but she ended up getting caught in this like affair with this rich person, and unfortunately his wife found out about what was happening between him and Grace, and she has suspicion that it was his wife who set the fire, and she also has a suspicion that he didn't try harder to rescue her because he literally kept her above their bedroom in the attic because he wanted to keep her close by. I actually really connected to her, and I thought she deserved a happy ending, and it was just one of those like feel-good things. There are so many eccentric characters who come into this book. I thought it was very entertaining. There are points in the audiobook though where I started getting a little bit confused because sometimes there are people randomly thrown in for a couple pages of like guests who just randomly visited sometimes, who interacted with the hotel employees or the hotel guests, and they would come in and they would just throw a name out, and I'm like, who is this new character that is popping in? Is it a person that I already know, or maybe I just didn't catch it? I highly recommend the audiobook. I thought it was really good, and I'm so happy that I ended up grabbing the audiobook of it because it probably would have taken me longer to finish this book. Like I said, my rating for this is 4 stars, and I highly recommend, and I'm excited to pick up more of Elin Hildebrand's books because she writes very atmospheric. She puts you into the setting. She makes you feel like you are at the Hotel Nantucket and you are feeling what these guests are feeling, and you're being one of those guests who are renting the room despite it maybe being out of a majority of our price ranges. I like the whole family vibe of it too, because these people end up like forming a family at the end, just like as if you go to work. When you start seeing people every single day, when you do shifts and everything, you start making friends, and some of them end up becoming like close family members if you have like a good work environment, and this seems like a family that they formed at the end. So I highly recommend this book. But that means I started Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. I'm about 86 pages in, which is about like maybe a little over 10% of this book, but I'm liking how easy it is to read Hazelwood's book. I love the setting of this. It's set in like different areas in Europe. So it follows a character named Maya, and Maya has a crush on her older brother's best friend, and her older brother is like 14 years older than her, and her brother's best friend also owns this like company where her brother works, and then her brother's fiance works also, and they are like really good friends. The thing that's complicated about her story is that she kind of like had a troubled childhood. She ended up losing both her parents one after the other when she was 12, I believe, and so her brother was the next of kin, so he ends up gaining custody over her. And unfortunately they were really not close growing up because he was so much older than her, and also there's like a backstory of him not being as close to her parents as she was. Like apparently they seemed like they had different parents growing up because he had a different relationship with their dad and she had a different relationship with her parents. He ends up getting custody of her, and she is dealing with a lot of stuff because she is sort of like a genius also. She's a physicist and she's going through her grad program, and she just graduated, I believe, and she's trying to figure out what to do with the rest of her life. Her brother ends up getting engaged to someone named Rue, and I believe Rue and Eli, which is Maya's older brother, are from Not in Love. So this is the sequel to Not in Love, and I didn't know that, and I don't think you really honestly need to read that book before you start this one, because I get the gist of it. It's the same as any contemporary romance. You just get the gist. You just don't get the full story of their relationship, but you get the gist of how they are, because Maya's actually pretty close with Rue and Eli, but that took them a while to get there because she was a very rebellious teenager. She ended up growing up trying to basically lash out against him, and she's missing her parents, and she's a teenager growing up, so of course there's a lot of things going on, and she didn't know how to deal with her grief. But after a certain point, when she starts getting older, she starts actually really getting close with her brother, and they find a common ground. And also her brother's actually pretty wealthy, because when he joined his best friend's company, they ended up becoming partners and everything, so he owns like part of the company. He provides for her, but she doesn't want to rely on his money. Like I said, I'm liking it so far. Right now, currently, I'm more interested in the brother's relationship with her rather than like the brother's best friend, and I'm a little bit weirded out that they are so far in age, but like I said, this is my first age cap romance, and it's kind of weird because I read a lot of fantasies where the MMC is, you know, hundreds of years older than the FMC. She's like barely past her teenage years, so somehow in fantasy books that's a lot more acceptable, but in, you know, everyday contemporary romance it's not. But we'll see how I get along with this book, but I'm liking it so far, and I'll update once I get further along into it. So I'm back with a little update, and I decided to give this a 3 stars. I went into it with like middle to average expectations because, like I said again, Ali Hazelwood I haven't really, you know, read before. The only other one that I ever read of hers was Cruel Winter Without You, which was like a Christmas novella, and I thought it was a good taste of her writing because I did like her writing style, and I like the fact that she uses a lot of people who work in STEM, and I like that it did that representation, so her female characters are always smart. But the thing that I had a problem with in this book is that not only was it like overtly spicy, but I found a lot of the spicy scenes very awkward. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this in my previous update before, I thought a lot of the stuff that happened between the male main character and the female main character was so cringy. I honestly thought that when there were certain points where the female main character seemed kind of desperate to get the love of the male main character, and I get it that there was an age difference, and also the biggest thing that the male main character was worried about was the difference in, you know, power dynamics because of the fact that he was like almost 20 years older than she was, and then he was a teenager when she was born, and also the fact that he is her brother's best friend. And that all like went into the factor of me giving it a 3 stars. I ultimately really did like her writing. It didn't turn me off of picking up other works by Ali Hazelwood. I just didn't particularly like this one. I just thought the female main character was so immature for what she was trying to convey to the male main character. She was trying to prove her maturity, but the more she tried to prove her maturity, the more she came off as really, really young. There was a certain point where I completely got turned off by both the characters' like relationship when she started really, really trying hard to get him to understand her feelings, and then she was calling him out for saying that the only reason why you don't want to be with me is because of our age difference, and give me another reason why. She was coming off really desperate, and they mentioned the age thing over and over and over, and I just thought that there were other points to their own character arcs that could have been the reason why they were not together, because they both did go through a lot of like kind of growth, I want to say. He has sort of like a terrible relationship with his family. He grew up as a rich young boy, but his dad was very not father figurely at all, and also the only person he really connected from like his family is his stepmom. I know a lot of people have said this too when they read Ali Hazelwood books, that she likes to throw big words in there too because they are in STEM, and a lot of the books that were thrown in here I had to look up because I have never heard of any of these words in my life, which is kind of good because it increased my vocabulary a little bit, so every time I come across this word now I know what it means. This gave off 3 stars. I loved the environment that it was in. I loved the setting. It was super summery. I loved that it was in Italy, and then also how they talked about the food a lot. I'm kind of interested in reading the other book that her brother and her brother's fiance was featured in, and I want to read their story because I want to see how their story came about. I'm actually really interested in that. But yes, this was a 3-star. It was atmospheric. It was a perfect summer book, but ultimately I didn't like the relationship between the two characters, and I just thought that the solution at the end was kind of quick to how big of a problem it was about their age, and how it was kind of solved really fast, and there was just like all of a sudden a flick of the switch. But that was my ultimate thoughts with Problematic Summer, and I did appreciate it for what it was. So yeah, 3 stars. And so that means I did start This Summer Will Be Different by Carley Fortune. This is another perfect summary book. I am like not even like 40 pages in, and I'm liking the fact that it's set in an island off of the coast of Canada. This follows a character named Lucy. She is best friends with a character named Bridget, and Bridget is from Prince Edward Island. So one year she meets Lucy like after sort of like a college party that they both attend, but they end up ultimately leaving early because they just wasn't their scene. And from that point they become like super close best friends. So it fast forwards maybe a year later, and they end up going to Prince Edward Island together for a vacation because she goes there to visit her family. So Bridget ends up like missing her flight, and so Lucy ends up having to spend a day in Prince Edward Island by herself. She ends up running to a guy named Felix, and Felix and her have like sort of like a hookup one night stand kind of deal, and she ends up finding out the next day afterwards that she just hooked up with her best friend's brother. It goes from present day to flashbacks. I think the point where they like hooked up for that summer was like 5 years ago, and it's present day, and present day is where Bridget is actually getting married. She is like a week away from getting married, and Lucy is a florist. She owns this like flower shop that her aunt used to own before she passed away, and she ended up getting the flower shop. And so it's like present day, and Lucy is arranging flowers for her best friend's wedding, and her best friend calls her and says, hey, can you fly out to Prince Edward Island? Because she randomly decides to fly out because she is going through sort of like a crisis. And so Lucy ends up flying out there, and of course runs into Felix again, and they end up like rehashing the past memories that she had going back and forth between Toronto and also Prince Edward Island every single summer. I am really liking Carley Fortune's writing. I've been hearing about this book for like the past year. I like how, again, how descriptive her writing is, where it's very atmospheric. It gives like the perfect summer feeling. We'll see how the chemistry is between the two characters, and also I'm very curious on why the best friend went home and to know what crisis she's going through. I think it's one of those things where they're gonna make us wait until like close to the end of the book to find out. That's what I have a feeling of right now, but I will be back with an update. Okay friends, we have to talk. I am currently on page 238 of This Summer Will Be Different, and I am about 71% of the way through. Have you ever been so viscerally pissed off at a character? That's where I'm at right now. Lucy has done so many things that I am so angry on. She is such a frustrating character because she made some decisions based on like things that she assumed in her head or what she thought in her head, rather than communicating to Felix about her certain feelings. There have been certain points where we have come across her really going into extreme mode before she even realizes what she's doing, and before she even realizes that she hasn't even communicated to anyone. She's just assuming, and at this point, every single time she and Felix has connected, the only, interactions they've really had is lust, and they've hooked up with each other constantly, and it's only been physical. And I didn't really start getting anything besides lust from them until maybe 2 years before the present day. And so there's this thing that I guess happened between them a year before, where she kind of left things off really badly between them, and she is just assuming the worst because of how things were badly left between them. I'm interested to see why it was like that, so I kept going, of course, because I want to finish the book and I can't DNF to save my life. And so we keep going, and then we realize that the reason why she left so badly was because she assumed something, and then she was trying to run away because she was getting scared. And when she tried to run away and cut off Felix and everything, basically became cold to him, he kind of got hurt and became cold to her back, and she got really, really offended. We kind of like 71% of the way in. We don't know what's going on with her best friend yet. Her best friend's being very incommunicative towards her, and Lucy's being very kind of like frustrated and aggravated towards her best friend that she hasn't told her anything, and she's holding secrets from her. But I'm getting mad at Lucy because how dare you get mad at your friend for keeping secrets when you kept secrets back? Like, that makes no sense to me, that she is being this angry towards her best friend and still is not telling her anything about her and her best friend's brother's relationship. Like, how dare you say that you are getting mad at her for keeping a secret from you, for her keeping things from you, and you are keeping such a huge thing that's been going on for 5 years from her. It is so frustrating, and the way she's treating Felix is beyond anything that Felix is deserving. He's actually grown in the past 5 years since she first met him. Every single time they're in the same room with each other, they can't help but like eye each other and catch each other's gaze, and she always describes the feeling she has of him being in the room as like electricity. It's like magnets. They can't just like be away from each other. Felix's best friend Zach knows everything that Felix does, so they don't keep secrets from each other, and he keeps asking her, hey, when are you guys gonna stop this and actually, you know, figure out each other's feelings for each other? And she's bold out straight said, we don't have any feelings for each other. What are you talking about? Are you serious right now? It's so frustrating. It's the biggest miscommunication trope, because she's not only lying to her best friend, she's lying to the person that she claims that she cares about a lot, and she's lying to herself. And not only that, she's getting mad at everyone for not being communicative with her when she's doing the exact same thing. I don't know if I like her at all. She has zero growth to her, and I don't know how big of a growth that she will have at the end of the book for me to root for her, because right now it is sitting at a 3 stars, and from the way that the last chapter happened and how it ended, how we found out what happened between them the summer before, I can't see myself giving this above a 3 star. And right now I'm so beyond frustrated. Like, I've gotten frustrated with other female main characters before, don't get me wrong, but she is so, I'm sorry, she's so dumb. It's just me ranting about it at this point because of how frustrated she's making me. So I'm gonna finish the last like 30% of this book, like less than 30% at this point, and I am just wanting to update you guys because I am so mad. But yeah, I'll come back when I do officially finish this and give you my final thoughts. And I'm crossing my fingers that she gets better, otherwise I can't imagine picking up another book by Carley Fortune if her characters are this frustrating. Okay friends, last update for this vlog. I did end up finishing This Summer Will Be Different by Carley Fortune, and I decided to land on another 3 stars. I didn't ultimately end up liking any of the character growth that Lucy went through. I just think that she was kind of forced to grow up because of the choices she made. She was trying to make a rash decision because she did find out ultimately what her friend was hiding and the reason why her friend was trying to hide it from her. They did find a solution, it's just that I think if Felix hadn't forced her to make a decision, she would have gone on trying to depend on other people to fix her problems for her and to be the band-aid to a lot of the stuff that she was going through. So ultimately, yes, I did think she did do some character growth because she really did need to take the time to, you know, find herself. She was trying to fill the void of not having certain things figured out with work, with her relationship with her best friend. And so of course Bridget had to grow up because she was getting married, and because of that decision, Lucy had to stop depending on her. She couldn't make Bridget her whole entire world anymore. And so she ultimately did get a little bit better by the end of the book. The last rant that I had was, you know, you saw me how frustrated I was with her. But I ultimately did end up giving it a 3 stars. Thankfully, it wasn't like less than a 3 stars. I was this close to giving it 2.75. I really was, if she didn't like learn anything. And I honestly think that Felix deserves better, in all honesty. I honestly thought that Lucy didn't really pull her own weight in the relationship until the end, and he seemed to grow a lot faster than she did, and he realized a lot of his feelings before she did too. And instead of like confronting things as like an adult and confronting things by talking to people around her who was frustrating her, she bottled it up and kind of lashed out at other people. Yes, a 3 stars. So ultimately ranking all 3 books, I think at this point Elin Hildebrand was my number 1, Problematic Summer Romance was number 2, which is very surprising, but I actually liked it better than This Will Be Summer. I think the female main character in Problematic Summer Romance was a lot more redeemable than, you know, This Summer Will Be Different. I ultimately did like all the books I read. I am so excited to read more of Elin Hildebrand's work and maybe Ali Hazelwood. I'm still 50-50 if I want to continue with like Carley Fortune's like books. I did like her writing. I did. It's just that the way the characters frustrated me, and also how the characters were so lust forward and physical forward rather than friendship forward first. And I understand that they hooked up with each other first. That's the reason why I was so lust forward. But I just thought that it was just like they weren't trying to be subtle whatsoever, and then they were surprised when people would find out that they were hooking up. Like, what is that? This summer reading romance reading vlog was ultimately a success. I think it was a lot of surprises, and Elin Hildebrand is just such a good time. She's such a good beach read, and I do ultimately like her writing. I thought she not only wrote humor but also like dramatics, and also she wrote heart with her characters as well. So I ultimately will recommend this one if you are looking for a last summer read before, you know, everything starts going away for summer. And you know, once like everything reaches August, it's basically fall at this point, because I love fall with a passion. Fall is my favorite season. Summer is my least favorite season. Like, a lot of events happen in the summer because I go to a lot of conventions. I do some like summer vacations with friends, and I was like going out more this summer, but I'm ready for it to end. I think as soon as the convention season is done and like all the con season ends, I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for it to get cold. I'm ready for pumpkin flavored everything, cinnamon flavored everything. I'm just a fall girl ultimately at the end of the day. But I hope you enjoyed this summer reading vlog. I hope you found some fun reads that you will end your summer off with, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you again for watching. It really does help my channel out a lot, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.